Welcome to our assembly video for our standard series SSH-RP4 rack. So let's start with what you're going to get in the package. You're going to get your two side panels with the rack rails pre-installed in the proper location. And you'll get your top and bottom panels, which you'll notice have the pilot holes drilled in the ends. And you'll have a pack of hardware, which is screws and rubber bumper feet if you're concerned about the rack sliding around on your desktop. These screws are a combination head, Phillips, and square drive. We do recommend using a number 2 square bit if you have one. It's a little bit easier. And definitely using a drill is the way to go. You can do it by hand, but the drill is much easier. So let's put this together. Go ahead and set one of your side panels to the side. And one quick thing to note, you'll notice on the top and bottom panels, one side has a slight radius to it and the other side is square. And the radius is meant to go up on the rack on the top panel and down on the bottom panel. But technically you could put it on either way. Everything should line up. So here you can see I'm finding these pilot holes by hand. Just getting them started, and then I'm going to drive the screws in just barely snug. We don't want to tighten these down too much yet, but just kind of snugged up. So if you wanted, you could lay the rack on its back, on the top, on the bottom, whatever's easiest. The main thing is when you're putting these screws in, you're finding that pilot hole in the top and bottom panel and making sure that those line up properly. So I'm starting them by hand, just a little bit, and then finishing it off with the drill. Once you've got the top panel on, you can flip it up. Now I did kind of make one mistake here, and I did it on purpose because so here's the bevel again. I did it on purpose because I wanted to show you how to correct that mistake. So here I'm trying to find the pilot hole with the tip of the screw. I can't quite find it. On the back, can't find it. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen the screws just a little bit so I can visually see the tip of that screw and line it up with the pilot hole. So I'm just going to back it off here, a couple turns, not take it all the way out, just back it off a little bit. So there's a little bit of play, a little bit of slop, and now I can actually see the tip of the screw and line it up with the pilot hole on the end of the panel. Same thing on the back. And all of these holes are cut on our CNC machine, so they will line up. There's not really any chance of them not lining up. Since I'm right-handed, I flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Again, I kind of, everything's still a little bit loose, so I can visually see the tip of that screw. Put it in the pilot hole. Might have to play with it a little bit. Obviously a little harder to see on the racks that are stained black. Now that all of the screws are in by hand, I'm going to go ahead and tighten them all down. So these are made from solid wood, and so there is the possibility, once you get this all assembled and flip it up on your desktop, that it is not sitting perfectly flat. Humidity and temperature is different everywhere you live, and by the time these products get to you, there could be some slight warping or bowing in some of these solid wood panels. So we've designed these racks so there's a little bit of adjustability if you get a panel that is slightly warped. And this particular rack I did notice had one panel a little bit warped. So I wanted to show you what happens. You screw it all together and you notice that it's not sitting quite flat on your desktop. It's got a little bit of a rock. So when we designed this and that was happening, we decided to make the pilot hole in the side panels oversized. And here's a part from another model. So that hole in the middle is actually twice the diameter of the screw, meaning if you loosen the screws up now and apply pressure downward on the entire rack and then retighten them, everything should basically kind of set into place in a flat kind of setup. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just back all these screws off just a couple turns all the way around and place pressure kind of alternately on the top and bottom panels till it sits flat and there's no more rocking. And then while applying that little bit of pressure, go ahead and tighten everything back up. And there you go, perfectly flat rack.